Hello there, everyone. My name is Crazy Caleb, and today we're going to be taking a look at the Notre-Dame cipher. So this module is different from the color cipher variants, first off because of the design, but also because of the fact that the way that you're going to submit this into the module. So let's take a look at what we need to do. So on the first screen, we're going to be starting with Epson, which in this case, I'll explain what that means later, and we're going to end with ideal. So now it's kind of weird how it wants me to or how it already gives me my answer, essentially. But based off of the way that this module works, what we're essentially going to be doing is we're going to be working around with a 5x5 matrix here, and what essentially is going to happen is we're going to try and submit these positions into the actual module. Once we hit submit button, a 5x5 grid will appear, and that's going to be what we're going to do. So our goal is to figure out the positions of ideal in this case, because we're always going to end with this letter. However, we don't know exactly where they're going to end up in the actual matrix. So let's start looking. Now, what exactly do we need to do first? So we're going to be going through three different ciphers using the Rosé, the Vitriol, and the France here. And these are all pretty straightforward ciphers. So first things first that we're going to be doing is we're actually going to be getting in the matrix itself, because that's what we're going to be working with here. So we're going to get a 5x5 matrix, I did not mean to do that, and fill the third row with the word from the second display below the start with label here. So we're going to be filling the third row with Epson. And now essentially what we're going to be doing is we're going to fill the rest of the matrix starting from the top left cell and going in reading order with the rest of the alphabet. And no duplicate letters are allowed. Now, instead of normally replacing something like J, or just getting rid of it in general, we're instead going to be replacing Q with Z. So in this case, we're never going to be placing Q down. And in this case, Q is always going to end up, Z is going to always end up in the place where Q normally would in this case. I'll explain what I mean in just a second. So we have A, B, C, D, skipping over E, F, G, H, I, J, K, then we have L, M, skipping over N and O and P, then Q. But in this case, we're not going to place down Q because of the fact that we're going to be replacing this with a Z. So instead, we're going to just put Z right where Q is. That's going to be that works. So now, let's continue on. R, skipping over the S, T, U, V, W, X, Y, and Z. And just like that, we already have the Z placed, and just like that, we have our matrix created. So now, let's get into the first part of this step here. So we're going to be using the Rosé cipher. So this is going to be looking at this here. So now, what's going to be happening here is we're going to be essentially rotating a series of 4 different letters based off of 90-degree rotations. So as we can see here in this example here, it wants me to take a look at Bravo 1, and in this case, it has highlighted all of the stuff that if you were to rotate 90 degrees in any direction, this would be all 4 possibilities going around in a full 360. However, what's going to be happening is that we need to essentially turn these guys in one specific direction based off of these arrows that are pointing here, which in this case represent if it's a greater than symbol, it's going to be for clockwise, and if it's a less than symbol, it's going to be for counterclockwise. That's going to be the way that this works. And we're going to be going through all 3 of these guys from top to bottom. So it's going to be 3 rotations for every single cipher. So we're going to be doing this 3 individual times, all of which are very, very simple, mind you. So let's get right into this. So actually we're going to be doing Bravo 2 twice, as we can see here. So we're going to be doing Bravo 2 twice, and we're going to be doing it in a clockwise fashion. So let's actually find everything that can be rotating clockwise here, based off of Bravo 2. And I believe actually right here, it's just simply forming a square. So it's going to be the Hotel, the Mike, the Romeo, and the Juliet. So we're going to be rotating these guys clockwise twice. So instead, we're going to be going Hotel to Juliet, Juliet to Romeo, Romeo to Mike, and then Mike to Hotel. And then we're going to be doing that again. So let's do that. So we have Mike, then Hotel, then Juliet, then Romeo. And now let's do the Bravo 2 again. So we're going to be doing Romeo, then Mike, then Hotel, then a Juliet. And just like that, we already have those 2 rotations done. Next up, Delta 2. Delta 2 is simply going counterclockwise because of the fact that it's got that less than sign, which in this case actually happens to be sort of exactly what we were just doing there. So all we can simply do is revert what we just did, go counterclockwise. So in this case, we're going to go Hotel, then Mike, then Romeo, then Juliet. Wow, okay, we could have definitely canceled a lot out there, but just like that, we're done with that step. So now let's take a look at the next part here. So next up is going to be the Vitriol Cipher. So what's going to be happening here is this is probably the hardest part of this module, and it's a little bit wonky, I will say. So the first number points to the starting column, and the second number the ending column. So in this case, we have 3 and then 1, so we're going to be focusing on columns 3 and then 1 with this Charlie and Alpha. And what's going to be happening is that we're going to take X letters from the top of the starting column, where X is the third number of the key, in this case being 3, and we're going to stack them one by one on top of the ending column. Also take the X letters from the bottom of the ending column and stack them one by one at the bottom of the starting column. So as we can see here in this case, in this example of 242, what's going to be happening is that we take the Bravo and the Hotel in the starting column here, and then the bottom two, the X-ray and the Zulu here. And what's going to happen here is that we're going to essentially rotate it over to the top part of the starting column, which in this case, Bravo is going to go in first, then the Hotel behind it. Everything's going to be placed below. And then what's going to happen is that the X-ray and Zulu are going to move over to the bottom of the second column here. And then what's going to happen is that they're essentially going to move everything up once. So in this case, as you can see, the Oscar is going to move up to the top position right here. Then the Mike, then the Victor, and then the X-ray and the Zulu follow suit behind it. So essentially, it's essentially just a rotation of two columns based off of however many letters you need to take here, which in this case we're going to be taking 3. So in this case we're going to be focusing on columns 3 and 1. So we're going to be taking the top 3 of the third column here, which in this case is Charlie, India, and Sierra. Then the bottom 3 of column 1, Echo, Lima, and Uniform. And what's going to happen here is that the Echo, Lima, and Uniform are going to go over to the bottom where the Whiskey, Zulu, and Sierra are. And the Charlie, India, and the Sierra are going to go over to the A, G, and E. Those are not respectively, but those are just essentially the general locations of which are going to go. So normally what's going to happen here is I actually tend to just do just sort of the reordering of those columns and just fill it in later on. So in this case, what's going to happen here is that we're going to get a bit of an interesting case. So we're going to get, so the Sierra is going to be the last one to go into the first column. So it's going to be Sierra, then it's going to be India, then it's going to be Charlie. And just like that, we already have those guys moved. Then next up, we're going to move everything down. So in this case, it's going to be A and then G. And just like that, we already have our first column taken care of. The A and the G essentially move down to 3, which in this case will end up in the 4th and 5th row. And then for the third one, I'm just going to mark these guys with a question mark because it doesn't really matter what we do with these guys. Then next up, the Uniform is going to go up. And then let's pay attention. The Zulu is going to start at the top because it's going to be moving up 3. Then it's going to be Whiskey following behind it. And then we have the 3 characters that we had from beforehand, the Uniform, Lima, and Echo. They're going to come in from the bottom, and they're going to essentially be placed right here. So Uniform, Lima, and Echo. And just like that, we already have the first part of this module done. So now let's fill up everything that we just did here. So we have Sierra, then Zulu, then India, then Whiskey, then Charlie, then Uniform, then Alpha, then Lima, then Golf, then Echo. And just like that, that's the first part of our module done. So now we have 4, 5, and 2. This one's a little bit of a simpler example. So we have 4, the top 2 being the Delta and the Hotel. Then 5, the bottom 2 being the Tango and the Yankee. So let's do that. So it's going to go, the Delta and the Hotel are going to end up on the right side here. So they're going to go, it's going to go a Delta, then a Hotel. So let's do this. So it's going to be a, so the 4th column is going to end up being Oscar, Juliet, X-ray. Oscar, Juliet, X-ray. And then the Yankee and the Tango are going to come down at the bottom here because of the fact that the Yankee is going to go down here. Then it's going to move up once to fill the Tango down at the bottom here. And then what's going to happen is that we have the Delta and the Hotel. So it's going to be a Hotel, Delta, Foxtrot, Kilo, and November. Hope that makes sense. It's a little bit of a wonkier one to understand, but it's potentially like rotating clockwise in some fashion. So that's going to be the way that it works. But it's only going to be focusing on 2 columns, remember. So now we're done with this part, so let's just fill up everything that we needed to here. So let's just get rid of everything here. So it's Oscar, Hotel, Juliet, Delta, Zulu, Foxtrot, Yankee, Kilo, and then it's going to be a Tango, November. Okay? So that's good. And then finally, 3, 4, and all 5. Ooh, okay, so this is going to be a bit of an interesting one. So the columns 3 and 4 is what we're going to be focusing on, and now we're going to be taking all 5 characters. So this is essentially going to be a full rotation, essentially. So this is where things get a little bit nasty. So, but all we actually really need to do is we really need to just put this column over into the opposite position. So in this case, the 4th column is going to be consisting of Echo, Lima, Uniform, Whiskey, Zulu. And then just do the exact opposite with this one. So the top of the 3rd column here is going to be Tango, Yankee, Zulu, Juliet, Oscar. And then the top of this one's going to be Echo, Lima, Uniform, Whiskey, and Zulu. And that's just all we really need to do there. Just a full rotation right there. So let's do that. So let's do Tango, Echo, Yankee, Lima, Zulu uniform, Juliet whiskey, and then Oscar Zulu. And just like that, we are done with that step. Perfect. So now let's head over to the final cipher. In this case, we're going to take a look at the cross cipher. So the cross cipher is actually probably my favorite of this entire thing. So what's going to be happening here is that we're going to have two different digits here. And the first number is going to be used as the column, while the second number is going to be used as the row. Without moving the letter in the intersection of these two, swap their content while keeping the reading order. Top goes to left, right goes to bottom, and vice versa. So here's what happens in this example. So let's take, for example, we have column 3 and row 3. So in this case, we're going to take a look at the Tango Yankee, Zulu Juliet Oscar, and then the Charlie Papa Zulu Uniform Foxtrot. So this intersection of Zulu is not going to move. It's not going to move at all because of the fact that we want to make sure that we don't mess around with the intersection here. And what's going to happen here is essentially we're going to be swapping just the positions of the columns in the position of the rows. So in this case, this Charlie and Tango are going to swap, then this Papa and Yankee are going to swap, then this Uniform and Juliet are going to swap, and then this Foxtrot and Oscar are going to swap. Because of the fact that if we take a look at this in reading order, in this case, Tango comes first, so does Charlie, then Yankee comes first, Yankee comes second, then Papa, and as we can see, reading order in the first row, then the second, then the fourth, then the fifth, first, second, fourth, and fifth. That's what we're going to be doing in this case. So let's swap Charlie and Tango, Tango and Charlie, then Papa, and then Yankee, so Yankee and then Papa. Okay, then Uniform and Juliet, so that's going to be Juliet, and this is going to be Uniform, and then this is going to be a Oscar, and that's going to be a Foxtrot. Okay, then let's do these last two examples. Row 2, column 2, row 5. So it's going to be the the intersection is going to be a Victor right here. So now it's not in the dead center, but it still counts. So in this case, Golf and Bravo are going to be the first positions. Mike and Foxtrot are going to be the second. Yankee and Zulu are going to be the third, and Romeo and November are going to be the fourth. And then we're just going to perform those swaps. So Bravo and Golf, Mike and Foxtrot, Yankee and Zulu, and then Romeo and November. And then finally, for our last one, we're taking a look at column 3, row 2. So this is actually the exact example that it has on the display here. So let's take a look. So our intersection is going to be the Papa right here, column 3, row 2. And now we're going to swap Charlie and India, because those are both the first positions. Charlie and India. Then we have the Foxtrot and the Zulu, so Foxtrot and Zulu. Then Lima and Uniform, Lima and Uniform. And then finally, Delta and Mike, Mike and down to Delta. And just like that, we have finished all of our steps. So now, if we go back to the start of the module here, what's going to happen here is that we're going to now be in the submission phase. So our goal here is to submit ideal. Now, let's take a look here. So let's actually pop this up. So ideal, if we take a look now, so let's hit submit. The 5x5 grid pops up, which you can press the cancel button to go back to where you need to be. However, it's pretty straightforward, and hopefully you should have your answer by this point. So let's hit submit. And now, what we're going to do is we're going to press the positions of which ideal is spelled out. So in this case, India is going to be at Charlie 1. And note that the fire does not necessarily mean that you're right or wrong. It's just simply part of the module. Then next up, Delta is going to be at Charlie 5. So Charlie 5. Then Echo is going to be at Delta 1. Alpha is going to be at Alpha 4, appropriately enough. And then Lima is going to be at a Charlie 4. And now, once you hit this last character, the module submits, and then it says hallelujah, if you're right. So that's the way that this module will work. It's pretty straightforward. It's one of my personal favorite ciphers that I just learned recently, and it's a fun one. So let's take a look at one more example, because it does a little bit different with it is a little bit different from the color ciphers where you're trying to find an answer. However, what you're trying to do is you're trying to submit an answer based off of a grid here. So let us take a look at one more example. But I guess just make sure that you remember, in most cases, the fact that the thing that can trip you up the most is going to be the fact that the Zulu is actually just a placeholder for Quebec. You simply replace it. You do not put it at the end. You do not skip over Quebec. Well, of course, you technically do. But you simply place it where Quebec would be. You place the Zulu where the Quebec would be. Let's keep that in mind. So now let's take a look. So remember that our third row is going to be the start with words. It's going to be shelf. And our end with is going to be Earth. So we need to figure out how we can end with the Earth and what the positions are going to be in the 5 by 5 grid. So now let's start developing the rest of the matrix here. So we have A, B, C, D. We're going to skip E. We're going to skip F as well. G. We're going to skip H, I, J, K. We're going to skip Lima. Perfect. This is a lot of letters that we've already skipped here. M, N, O, P, Q, R. Nope, we're going to replace the Q, remember, with the Zulu. It's going to be a force of habit, which you got to break with this module a little bit. I'm sorry about that. Then we're going to skip over the S, then T, and then U, V, W, X, Y. Perfect. And then we're done. So now, let's take a look at the Rose cipher. Okay, good. Some more different results. That's what I'd like to see. So delta 3 is going to be rotated clockwise. So delta 3 includes, it's going to be including the Kilo, Hotel, and the Zulu. These are all going to be rotated. Clockwise. So we're going to go Lima to Zulu, Zulu to Hotel, Hotel to Kilo, Kilo to Lima. So let's do that. So Kilo, Lima, Zulu, and a Hotel. Then next up we have Alpha 1. This is going to be rotated counterclockwise. This is essentially all 4 corners. That's perfect. So let's do a Golf, then an Alpha, then a Uniform, then a Yankee. And then finally Alpha 4. Alpha 4 is going to be the Oscar, the X-Ray, the November, and the Bravo. So that's going to be rotated counterclockwise. So, okay, then let's do Bravo, then Oscar, then X-Ray, then a what was that last one? It was an X-ray, and then November. So November for that Bravo. And just like that, we're already through all the positions that we need to do. The Rose cipher is done. Now for the fun part. So now, the Vitriol cipher is going to be figuring out this. So we have the starting column being a 2, the ending column being 5, and we're only going to be taking 1 character this time. Interesting. So 2 and 5. So let's take the November. The November is going to go over to the Yankee. So November, then Yankee, then X-Ray, then Foxtrot, then Tango. Then the Uniform is going to go down to the bottom where the Victor is. Uniform, Victor, Papa, Zulu, and Juliet. That's all we really need to do there. Then next up, column 1 and then column 5. And then it's going to be all 5 of them. So this one's we're simply just going to do a full-on flip. So instead, Whiskey is going to be at the top, which we're going to read the 3rd column from bottom to top to get the 1st column here. So Whiskey, Lima, Echo, Hotel, and finally the last one is a Charlie. And then we're going to read you from bottom to top again for the 3rd column. In this case, A, V, S, I, G. So A, V, S, I, G. There we go. So now we're going to fill all the stuff in. W, A, L, B, E, S. Those should just flip. That's perfect. Those are just swap positions. Nice. Hotel India. And then Charlie Golf. Okay. Then next up we have 4, 3, and 1. So we're just doing the same thing exactly as we did with the first step, except we're going to be focusing on 4 and 3. So in this case, the delta is going to be going over to the alpha, and then the golf is going to be going over to the Oscar position. Keep that in mind. That goal, that starting column and ending column is very important that you make sure that you distinct from. Very, very important. So let's take a look. So now we're going to do a delta. Delta is going to go over to 3, so we're going to do U. Delta, Alpha, Bravo, Sierra, India, Golf, Oscar, Romeo, Kilo, and then Mike. There we go. So now we should be done with this. We should be done with the cipher. So now let's do the cross cipher. Row 3, column 3. Column 3, row 3. Very important that order matters here. So that's going to be Echo and Delta swap. Papa and Alpha swap, so it's going to be Alpha and then the Papa. Then Romeo and Sierra swap, so Romeo and then Sierra. And then India and then X-ray swap. Bada bing, bada boom. Then column 2, row 4, is going to be the intersection of the Victor, so Juliet and Hotel swap. So Juliet, Hotel, and then Juliet. Then next up, Zulu and Romeo. Romeo and then the Zulu here. Then the Alpha and then the Oscar. And then finally the Foxtrot and the Uniform. So Uniform and the Foxtrot. Yep. And then finally, column 1, row 2, the intersection is going to be Lima here. So then we're going to do Whiskey, Romeo, Romeo, and then the Whiskey swap. Then we have Papa and Delta, Delta, and then Papa. And then Kilo, and then Juliet, Juliet, and then the Kilo. And then the Charlie, and then the Yankee, Yankee, and then the Charlie. And now, hopefully everything has been done right. So now let's go back over to the beginning here. We're going to try and submit the word Earth on the 5x5 grid. So let's do that. So Earth is our word. So let's hit submit. And let's get this thing going. So Echo is going to be at Charlie 1. Then Alpha is going to be at Delta 4. Romeo is going to be at Alpha 1. Tango is going to be at Echo 5 down in the bottom right. And then Hotel is going to be Bravo 1. And just like that, hallelujah, the module is done. As always, thank you guys for watching. Remember to stay crazy, stay cool, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye-bye.